better yet, the final team are students from University of Northern Iowa, Trevor Schmidt, Maddie Christensen, J.D. Weibel, Emily Dworvak, and Morgan Rahe.
Here for a second. All right, cool. To eliminate confusion, so my name is Trevor, this is Maddie. My heart is beating 100 miles per hour, so here we go. We're just gonna get started here. As members of the Nonprofit Leadership Alliance, each one of us in this room has the opportunity to impact the fastest growing sector in the country. Where's this? Oh, got it right there. Okay. Has the opportunity to impact the fastest growing sector in the country, that'd be the nonprofit sector. However, as demand for nonprofit services is increasing, the funding available is actually decreasing. And as a result, we're required to look to volunteer service as our primary means of delivering effective mission. And as the population of the United States becomes more and more diverse, we are called to call on our volunteers more and more to be able to connect to and relate with people from different backgrounds than their own. A study performed by Craig Engstrom finds that current iterations of volunteer trainings don't quite go below surface level. They cover things like do this and don't do that when they miss the opportunity to have volunteers meaningfully engage with those that they're serving. A study performed by Aguilar and Wu further asserts the need for volunteers who are able to find common ground and that are able to be more aware of cultural competency and how to better interact with and relate to those from all different types of walks of life. So where we come from at the University of Northern Iowa, we call it the Cedar Valley. That's Cedar Falls, Waterloo, and the surrounding landscape. We have about 270 different nonprofit agencies that seek to be present in the community, while we only have one initiative at the time that seeks to address the aforementioned concern. The Service Enterprise Initiative, facilitated by the Volunteer Center of the Cedar Valley, seeks to help nonprofit organizations to better meet their mission by leveraging different volunteers and their specific skill sets. Currently, there are 4 nonprofits in our area that are certified in this initiative. There are 5 currently going through the certification, and there are 4 additional that will be going through, excuse me, the coming certification in the years to come. So therefore, there's still a need for us to ensure that nonprofits in our area are still able to provide supplemental training to ensure that volunteers are able to still support and connect with anybody who they can or cannot relate with. Our big idea will seek to serve as a supplement to the Service Enterprise Initiative and its overarching goal.
Our big idea is that people from all backgrounds, cultures, ethnicities, and religions that are served by the nonprofit sector feel respected and understood and valued by volunteers and as community members. We propose the creation of supplemental training materials, including a video created by our students, as well as in-person train-the-trainer sessions. These trainings are to bridge a gap and build relationships in these perceived cultural, socioeconomic, and marginalized divisions within the community. Once we've created these materials, we'll use our connection with the Volunteer Center of the Cedar Valley to get these materials out to nonprofits in the area, and they will use these supplemental trainings for their volunteers. This idea can adapt to the community as it grows and changes. With the University of Northern Iowa students, we're able to create additional material, new videos if needed, to address social challenges as they arise. Also, this idea is sustainable because we're working with nonprofits in the area to meet a perceived need. And the Alliance students have resources on campus to be able to further grow and change these materials when needed.
So in order to implement our big idea, we have 4 objectives that we're seeking to meet and that we need to meet in order to make this thing effective. First is our UNI NLA students and members need to be trained in how we're going to be training, facilitating this volunteer training through an organization called Love Inc. in the Cedar Valley, which has a volunteer training initiative called Begin Now. This initiative seeks to holistically prepare volunteers to connect with people from different walks of life from them, from different backgrounds, from different cultures. So our goal in being able to do so will be to see what their techniques, goals, and different programming methods they use to facilitate these trainings. Our second objective will be to actually create supplemental materials such as video, documents, and other supplemental materials that will be used and tailored for other nonprofits in the community that are seeking to develop more culturally competent and relational volunteers. This will be done again through our collaboration with the Volunteer Center, Begin Now, Love Inc., and with the Service Enterprise Initiative. Our third objective will actually be in the implementation and the delivery of these materials. Our UNI NLA students will be facilitating Train the Trainers sessions with different interested and qualified nonprofits in the area. Through our connection with the Volunteer Center, whose network is 161 different nonprofits that are seeking to gain this type of volunteer competency. And then again, our fourth objective will be to develop assessment materials. They're designed to evaluate and strengthen our program so that it's able to meet its desired outcomes. This will be done through referencing different nonprofit executives, volunteer coordinators, and then their volunteers, and then those that the nonprofit is seeking to serve.
So in order to fully implement our big idea, we will need to partner with Love Inc. of the Cedar Valley and the Volunteer Center of the Cedar Valley. We'll need to create our supplemental materials, and we'll also need to engage in ongoing evaluations. When our big idea is fully implemented and integrated, nonprofit organizations in the Cedar Valley will be able to efficiently and effectively provide supplemental training to volunteers for working with marginalized groups in the community. Also, organization staff will have been trained by us in order to train their volunteers.
Cool. So the desired outcomes of this project, our big idea will mean that we'll be decreasing the amount of time that nonprofit staff need to spend implementing and facilitating the training for their volunteers, giving them more margin themselves to be able to effectively deliver their mission. Volunteers will be more effectively equipped and empowered, leading to more volunteer satisfaction and a greater rate of retention in volunteers. And then finally, and most importantly, that everyone who is served by these nonprofits that are participating in this program, no matter the demographic, no matter the background, will feel more valued, included, and respected by those that, are served by the nonprofit and by their volunteers. Our big idea will lead to our world only better.
Judges, you have a question for these folks?
We do. You mentioned that you would build a partnership with the Volunteer Center and Love Inc. Talk to us a little bit about how you would engage the private sector, the corporate community, in that partnership.
When you say private sector, do you mean the nonprofit sector?
Private sector meaning companies and businesses.
Okay.
The ones who can usually write checks.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Do you mean from, sorry, I'm asking a lot of follow-up questions here. Do you mean like from the fundraising standpoint, or do you mean so they can also train their volunteers?
Well, that's our question to you.
Okay. Perfect. Then I understood you clearly the first time then. Okay. So because Love Inc. and the Service Enterprise Initiative are only finite in what they can deliver to their own organizations, what we'll be doing for the private sector is in the materials that we create, it'll be in a broad sense to be able to benefit, what am I trying to say here? Our materials will be able to be tailored to the private sector. That'll be through evaluation in our working with private sector businesses that if they are less able to utilize the materials that we've created, we'll find out through our assessment materials and the surveys that we've created, and we'll be able to tailor that more towards that private sector and be able to go more in that direction. That's one of our objectives, is to be able to effectively know where and when this is working best.
Thank you, University of Northern Iowa. Outstanding.